Hey folks, today I am going to walk you through how to process many sites. Up to this point, we've been working with one site, but now we are working with many sites. So you're going to go ahead to project 2. You're going to head down, and I just want to point out we have our site list and site characteristics here. So you're going to need that for another part of this assignment. You can always download here, and you might wonder what the names of those columns are, what they mean. And that is included right below this on Moodle. But we don't want that today. We want the time series. So go ahead and click on Project 2 Time Series. And this folder is a weird folder that exists on Macs. If you download and see this folder, don't worry about it. You can delete it. I'm going to go over here and I'm going to click download. And I'm going to say, I know it's big, go ahead and download anyway. So that's going to take a little bit of time. While it does that, go ahead and plug in your drive if you haven't yet. And as we wait on that, that's going right now, you're going to want to open MATLAB. So this already went ahead and downloaded. I'm going to close this. And I'm going to navigate over to my downloads file. So I've got project 2 site data. I'm going to copy and paste it. I'm going to go down to my drive, my CE352 project 2 folder, and I had a separate folder in there called time series. It doesn't really matter. I'm going to put everything right there, and I'm going to let that process, and it might take a little bit of time. All right, your next job is to unzip that. So on a Mac, you can just double click. If you are on a PC, you got to go up and do the extract command. And while that is happening, I am going to open up MATLAB and I'm going to navigate to my folder on my drive. So I'm going up here. I have it under locations, CE352, project 2, and time series. And there's my folder. And I'm going to say, go ahead and open that folder. It's still downloading. It's a big file, not as big as your GIS files, but pretty big. Today, we're going to be working through how to incorporate all of these sites. So it's working. It's almost done. And there we go. If you get that folder out, you can go ahead and double click and go inside that folder. If you have that _Mac OSX file, you can just delete that file directly from here. But what I want are these sites. I want 1 to 288. And you can either drag these out. So I'm just going to drag them out, which works well on my computer. Or you can copy and paste them. You want them in your main folder. So it's thinking about it. And it's totally going to move them. It's just a big list of files. And there we go. And I'm going to get rid of this folder. So I have all of my data files now. I have 1 all the way down to 288. So I'm going to head back to my main code area on MATLAB. And I'm going to open my whatever I've been working on, whatever file you have been working in. Mine, I'm calling homework 7, or I think mine was homework 6. You should have an updated one for homework 7 where you have added some new code. So your code should look similar to this, but maybe a little bit different. You probably will have a value for RBFI. You might have values for Q5 and Q95. You might have done your trend analysis, extracting information already. But we're going to work with this file today wherever you're at. So save whatever your current file is, open it, and we're going to save it as a new name, again, to keep documenting. This is homework 7. So process site 1, we're going to change to process all sites. And the idea is you can see those incremental changes each week, which I think is helpful. So right now, everything works for just one site. We want it to read in and process all of these sites, all 288 sites. So what we are going to do is we are going to write a second loop that goes around the entire analysis that we've done. So I am going to say for, and I can't say I because I already have an I down here, right? I'm going to say for K equals 1 to 288. That's my total number of sites. And down at the bottom, I'm going to add my end feature. And I just save continuously. So I'm saving again. I'm going to highlight everything. I'm going to right click. And I am going to say smart indent. And I like the smart indent in MATLAB, and I save just continuously because I'm a nervous person, but especially when it comes to code. What you see now is the indents are telling you about which loop things are in. So this is part of the outer loop, this is part of the outer loop, and this is part of the inner loop. So we are going to cycle through. The goal is all 288 sites. The first thing I'm going to tell you to do is go down here and comment out your figure that you made. That's your flow duration curve at the end here. If you don't comment this out, you're going to get 288 figures, and your computer is probably going to get angry at you and freak out. So make sure that you do this. Next, we're going to go up here. Our goal is to change file name from being just for site 1 to multiple sites. So the question is, how can we do that? And we want to make it act as a function of K. Purple in MATLAB means text. What I'm going to do is I'm going to break this up into 2 pieces, and I'm going to put brackets around the outside. And in between the brackets, I'm going to give myself a space. And what I really want to do is just say K. But if I do this, it thinks K is a number instead of text, which is what I want it to see in order for it to load as a file name. So I am going to run a command called number2string. MATLAB refers to characters as strings, or sequences of characters as strings. So I'm going to say take num2string to K. And you don't have to do this. I'm just showing you how I think about this, but I'm going to go over here and I'm going to say, okay, let's pretend we have a value for K. And I'm going to highlight this and say evaluate and make sure it works. And look at that. I get 13 characters, and it is the name of my first file. What about if K equals 2? I'm going to run my same command again. I'm just pressing up to go back to that command. And look at that. Now we get a new file, Q15 data _2. So that's good. All right. Now, instead of just reading in one file, we're going to read in all those files as a function of the loop. There's one more thing we want to do here. We want to save each one of those hydrologic signatures that we're calculating, not only as a function of I for each year, but also as a function of K. So anywhere you have a hydrologic signature, you're going to need to update the left-hand side. The way I like to think about this is my brain works thinking about sites as rows and years as columns. So I'm going to do that. I'm going to say K comma I. And what that would mean is site 1 is going to go in row 1. And then each of those years, 51 years, will go in each column. To show you, let's check. I'm going to go down here. I'm going to put my little stop sign on. And this is a great way to debug. You have all these commands up here that help you debug. I am going to put my stop sign and I'm going to say run. I'm going to say just run to that point. And when I do that, I'm entering this debugging mode. And in that mode, I can put my cursor over any value and see what it's telling me. So I can see, oh, out of my import file name, I get the dates for each day. I get Q in CFS. I get Q in millimeters per day. I get the drainage area, the latitude, the longitude, the site number. But what I really care about, let's scroll down here, is BFI year. And when I look at that, it says 1 by 51. That's telling me all of the values are going in the first row, and they're going in columns 1 through 51, which is exactly what I want. Now, the real test is if I say continue, now hypothetically, the second site should appear in the second row. So if I hover over BFI year, look at that. Now I've got a second row of data. And the real test, I'm going to remove the stop sign, and I'm going to run the whole thing. And it might take a little bit of time, and that's okay. But if it works, I should get out a big matrix for each one of my hydrologic signatures. So she's still going. And you can tell, right, when you don't see the cursor or when the cursor is below the line, that's telling you it's still working, it's still running, it's still thinking. It is almost there, surely. It's going through all 288 files. It could take some time. And oh, it just finished. So let's take a look at BFI year. And now I have BFI values for every year. So two quick things I want to say. One is for all of your hydrologic signatures, you need to index them in this way. And then secondarily, when you're running your trend analysis, your values that you are performing your trend analysis on are going to be by row. So that's just something to keep in mind. We care about the values, but we also care about processing the values down for the trend analysis. So at this point, you should have code that now allows you to process all 288 sites, and you can start doing some of that trend analysis. Way to go.